last topic session, an automatic tool to facilitate authoring animation, blending in game history. Here's Nuria's one.
So this is the work by one of my students, who is Delicado, that finished for his master's thesis. And unfortunately, he couldn't come to the conference, so I'll be presenting his work today. A little bit of motivation first behind this work. We basically work in the building crowd simulation, mostly. And the problem we have very often is that we focus on the simulation itself, how all the characters should be moving around the virtual environment. But then you want to have a nice visualization with variety of characters, variety of animation, locomotion styles, and so on. So nowadays there are a lot of software that you can use to generate characters, like Human, Samo, Adobe Character Generator. And you also have game engines and make these types quite relatively easy. However, with the animations in these game engines, you need to really create what they call 2D blend spaces. That's what I want to focus on for this talk, which is theoretically very simple. You have really friendly graphical user interfaces. You can just drag and drop your animations. But getting the right final animation synthesis is not straightforward. So I won't go into detail on the related work. We have seen a lot of nice papers today, actually, in the conference. There's been a lot of work done on how to create animations, synthesizing from other animations and blending into animations. And there's a nice paper actually in Motion in 2012 that's been a comparison of the most typically used blending techniques for this area. But what I want to see is how can we ease the process of creating animations using a game engine, with the constraints of the game engine, with the GUIs that it already has and the tools that it already provides. So if you've ever tried to create an animation with, in this case, Unreal, you have a 2D space in which pick two parameters, typically speed and rotation. With that information, define the minimum and maximum values for this 2D space. Then you have to find a collection of animations that you want to use and create them if you're good at it, and if not, just go on the internet and download as many animations as you can. And then you have to manually allocate each of the animations on this blend space. So basically, given the speed and the turning angle of each animation, you have to manually locate it in the blend space in something that looks like this. So basically, the user takes animation, drags it into the blend space, puts it in the right position, and as you do this, Unreal will create triangulation for it. It's better triangulation, and then it will use backcentric interpolation to calculate the weights of the three animations that correspond to the triangle where your desired velocity and rotation fall. What you have to do in parallel is try your animation with the input you get from the controller and see how realistic it looks, how nice it looks. If you're not good at this, and I have no idea how to do this, but I've seen my students fighting with this for hours and yet not getting the results they wanted. So with this thesis, we wanted to try to make this task easier. Just create a tool that will automatically give you this blend space, so you don't have to fight with this trial and error process. So the tool basically gets a set of animation clips, extracts speed and rotation information from there. You can do this in Unreal easily. And with this information, what it does is put each of these points corresponding to each of your animations in the exact position in the blend space. So to start, you have a triangulation, you have a positioning of the animations that is correct. It is the right position, the right velocity, and the right turning angle that you need for your final locomotion. But more than that, it can help you to visualize possible problems with your triangulation, with your set of animations. So for instance, in this tool we cover 5 of them. One that every animator knows is that we cannot interpolate between animations that are opposite. So a walk forward with a walk backward is going to give artifacts. It's going to give a non-natural looking animation. Turning left with turning right is also going to introduce artifacts. So if you do that, you end up with animations that look a little bit like this. It's a character moving in place when you're trying to just rotate, and it's not actually moving correctly. Okay, it's just a bunch of artifacts that you get in the final interpolation. You try to get some position around here, and this is because there's triangles in your triangulation that are carrying the main axis of this triangulation, where the main axis corresponds to the 0 velocity and 0 turning angle. So one simple way of solving this problem is having an additional pseudo animation, correct one, in this exact position, so that the automatic triangulation in Unreal will not give you a triangle cutting this axis. So you can easily create this animation by blending between, all right, between exactly A and D. Okay. So by doing this, you get a new animation that will do a small turn in place. What's going on? Okay, not good. So we slowly rotate in place, interpolating between animations that are correct to put them together. Okay, so next issue is what we call active angles. Are typically form triangles with very long edges and small areas. The larger triangulation won't give you this in the middle of the triangulation, but this typically happens in the borders of the convex hoop. Okay? So in this case, it's not straightforward to solve the problem, but we can at least highlight the problem and give recommendations on how to fix it. If you replace your animation that was here by one a little bit farther away, you would avoid this kind of artifact. The artifact that you get with this case is basically that this animation that corresponds to the blue point, doing percentage coordinates, has pretty much has zero influence from the orange animation. And as soon as you move a little bit the joystick, or if it's the case of crowd simulation, you move a little bit the values of the speed or the rotation, it suddenly has a very high influence in the final animation. And that causes typically artifacts in the synthesized animation. So again, you can just find another one a bit farther away from the original one, and you alleviate this problem. The next one is misalignment. This one is quite annoying. This is, you've got an animation at the top, which you think it's a walk forward animation, and if you had done it manually, you would have located it over this main axis. However, it has a little turn to the left in this case. So when you use this animation to synthesize new ones, what happens is that you try to move your character forward, and the character starts turning slowly in a particular direction. So doing the triangulation automatically, you get two things. The first one, it highlights this little misalignment, so at least you're aware that you have that problem there. And the second thing is that even if you don't want to find another run forward animation, at least with this automatic triangulation, from now on, when you want to move your character forward, it will compute something that falls in the right point here, along the forward direction. So it creates a new animation by interpolating between the walk forward, the run forward, and the one you have on the right-hand side, which will get the final synthesis movement correct. Okay, the fourth one, animations that are too close. And this is too close according to a user-defined parameter. So this technically is not a problem. We just have smaller triangles and we interpolate between them, fine. But the problem here is that we are taking a problem that is a high-dimensional problem, which is animation, and we're projecting it into this 2D representation. So what can happen is that you have 2 points in this representation that are too close because they have similar speed, they have similar turning angles. However, the style of the animations are very different. So when they appear too close in this triangulation, again, any little movement of the joystick or any little variation on the crowd simulator will start switching back and forth between these two simulations. And then the final animation, again, might be just switching styles constantly and it doesn't look good. So with this one, you can first highlight it, maybe replace it, or make sure the styles of those animations are similar. And if not, you could always obtain a new synthesized animation between these two ones and replace the two animations by the new synthesized one in your triangulation. And the final one is very simple. It's basically when you do barycentric interpolation, you can only synthesize animations for those points that fall inside a convex hull. So anything outside the convex hull, you can immediately see that you won't be able to have those movements. So with all this information, you can either warn the user that these areas of movements are not going to be covered by your animation data set, and then you can just give recommendations. So based on these 5 typical problems that you can find in a triangulation after you put your animation inside, the program basically gives you recommendations on what things you could do to improve your triangulation. So some of the issues are solved by synthesizing new animations, and some of the issues like these parts of the 2D landscape not being covered are simply, it gives you what we call placeholder, which is recommendations of animations you should find covered at that particular velocity and turning angle. So to extend this a little bit, we've seen what you can do simply with a 2D blend space, which considers moving forward and turning with a particular angle. But this, as it is, could not handle, for instance, side steps. If you want your character to move forwards while doing side steps, you cannot include it in the previous 2D blend space. So the only thing you can do if you're using a game engine is combine 2 blend spaces. And that's something that you can easily just add a third parameter that will smoothly change between the 2 blend spaces based on the input of the user or the input that comes from a crowd simulation system in our case. So you can do that to either add more variety in locomotion or even to include styles. And the problem that we find including styles is that if we want to use, for instance, an animation that looks like the character is drunk, you would need to get a new blend space with this style. And typically, finding enough animations to cover all the possible positions in your blend space with a particular style is quite difficult. You might find many animations, but their styles might be a happy walking, or a drunk walk, or a sad walk, but they're quite different in style depending who has created them. So one thing you can do is combine a 2D locomotion blend space with a just 1D walk forwards or walk backwards style, which is much easier to build because you need less animations. And in the end, you get something like this. Which the problem that it has is that it will lose a little bit of accuracy in the trajectories when you move away from the forward direction, but it maintains a little bit that funny style of the drunk 1D blend space. Okay, so conclusions. What we wanted to do with this tool was basically help users building blend spaces in Unreal, make their work easier in 2 ways. For these users, we wanted to have a way to make this blend space totally automatic, so they don't have to fight with this interface until they get results that look natural. And for experienced users, we help them in highlighting possible problematic areas of the current blend space they have with the set of animations they're using. And we've also looked at how to include or to add the dimensionality of the problem that you have with Unreal. Okay, so with this, thanks for your attention. Any implementation problems, send an email to Luis, because I don't have the answer.
Time for a couple questions. While they're thinking, I'm going to ask one. Particularly, the last couple of comments about the spaces, is the 2D blend space that we have the right space? If there are other spaces that we could imagine doing blending in, besides just this sort of literal 2D that sort of encapsulates what we want. And I'm imagining that we pre-process and then do something else and create another space that might actually be a more appropriate space for blending.
Well, you're asking about getting more to the blend spaces to combine, or?
No, specifically the embedding that we're using, and we always use is this 2D slider that we were imagining. Maybe there's a different embedding that would actually be better for blend shapes. I'm wondering if you could comment on that.
I mean, what we use, okay, so what we use for this example is that we have the speed and the thermal, because that's typically what we do with the layers. So with the joystick, you cannot have too much input other than jumping or touching that typically you do with only buttons in games. When we incorporate it into crowd simulation, then it's different, because then we might have more variety of parameters that you can control from the crowd simulation side. So for instance, blending with side steps is necessary, because very often in crowd simulations, you don't want the characters to move only in the direction that they're facing. You need if there's high dimension, there's high density of keyboards, they might need to do side steps, even walk backwards. So you get more inputs from there than what you get from the player. But so far, the thing we have incorporated are things that we can easily extract from the animation clips. And we have the same limitations that we have started with the game, which is you need if you use a run forward animation, it's going to be an animation where the velocity is constant to the animation. If there's changes in acceleration, then you cannot map that with one package to the board. So, but again, we're basically just inheriting all these limitations of this way of keeping interpolations that are already in the game.
I have one more question on that, but I'll ask later.
Okay.
Other questions from the audience?
Thank you for this talk. You talked about the problem of the style. Could we imagine to extend the 2D blend shape by a third dimension, which could be the style, for example, to have a continuous between non-drunken walking to fully drunken motion, and to imagine that you have a kind of plane that you move into the style, and then you can, for example, try to as a priority find the neighbors in this plane, and in case you don't have, you find the neighbors in the closer plane, and so on. Could we imagine to extend to 3D in fact?
I would love to extend it to 3D. We can't do that with Unreal if we use the tools that it already has. So to answer your question, if you're doing research in animation, just the animation part, you could create your own animation system and include it in Unreal on Unity, okay? Our case is different. Our case is we're working on crowd simulation and we want to use the tools that we already have in Unreal. And with the tools that you already have there, we'll be looking at, okay, how can we ease this process? Because basically what you don't want at the end of the day is that every single student that comes to work on crowd simulation spends 2 months looking at animations to get the final video that you want to show. We would love to be able to extend it to 3D, but unless we develop our own system, we can't go with the constraints that Unreal has.
Any final questions? Okay, let's thank our speaker.